I think Shanice was unbothered by Leslie today. So far, Shanice is happy with this relationship with Ted, even though Ted definitely comes along with a lot of baggage. What is up, fellow Beyond the Gates viewers? Here to talk about today's Friday episode of the show. And it was not a filler Friday, it was another jam packed episode today. In a week with this new energy for the show that was much needed. A lot to talk about today. I think I'll just go over some of the more interesting stuff first and then get into all the other storylines because there was a lot of different stories on today. We'll start where we left off yesterday with Tomas seeing Bill and Dani kissing. And today it looked like Dani was back at Bill's office at the start of the episode and that she was telling him to not worry about the optics and to kick her out if he wanted to. And then Bill got up acting like he was going to kick her out. And then they started kissing again, falling onto his desk. At one point, I thought it had to be a daydream. The show has loved their daydreams lately. And it was, thankfully, because if it wasn't, I was going to be quite pissed at Dani. Even more than I already was a little yesterday. But luckily, it was a daydream today. I think it was Bill still pining for Dani, and Bill feeling some kind of way about Tomas seeing them kissing in real life, in not the daydream. Bill was meeting with Tomas today and praising Tomas for his work and dedication. Suddenly, he says Tomas told Bill that he has Bill's back in and out of the courtroom, which was alluding to the fact that Tomas saw Bill and Dani kiss yesterday. And Tomas said he had no intention of jeopardizing his future at the firm. So Bill made a toast for Tomas to make him a junior partner, giving him a promotion. And yeah, a nice little easy promotion for Tomas when he saw something that he shouldn't have. As we all saw coming, I still wish it was a better character than Tomas that saw this, because as I figured, he did fall flat in today's scenes with Bill. Is just always one note, no emotion. Tomas, but that's what to be expected from that character. Dani met up with Pamela to celebrate Dani's daughter's not having the cancer gene. And Pamela was upset when Dani told her that she did end up going to see Bill and they did end up kissing. And she was trying to say it was nostalgia and not passionate longing. But Pamela luckily called her out on her shit, that it was Dani's usual dysfunctional pattern. And Dani is clearly in denial about all of that. Pamela was trying to get Dani to see that Dani was not the problem in her marriage to Bill, that it was Bill who was always wanting more and more and still wanting more. And it probably didn't get through to Dani. Bill will always be the thorn in Dani's side, unfortunately. And then today, Dani was going on about how Andre is everything, and Pamela is saying, don't ruin that. But just yesterday, Dani was telling Bill that her and Andre's relationship is just physical, even though I thought they were getting beyond that. And I think that at some point, Dani thought they have moved beyond that. But I guess this hold that Bill has on Dani continues to cloud her judgment and always has. From the beginning, I've always said that Dani was pretty pathetic where Bill is concerned. She always kind of has been as a character. They've always written her as like a simp for Bill. And it was no different this week of episodes. So then they saw Isaiah. They were wondering if they would get Isaiah to model, but he ended up meeting up with Eva and Eva was kissing him. So we'll circle back to Isaiah, though. Let's move on to Eva. Before she met up with Isaiah, she was with her mother. She was with Mama today. And Leslie wanted to talk strategy. Eva thought Leslie was plotting something like she usually is. But Leslie was talking about Eva's Valentine's Day plans with Isaiah, wanting Eva to be up on that since it's 3 weeks away. Then Eva opened her big mouth, like she always does with Leslie, and tells her mom that Ted is dating someone, basically. Because Leslie was saying she's keeping her options open where her and Marcel are concerned. and that Ted is her soulmate. So that's when Eva had to go and tell her mom about Ted dating someone. Obviously, that someone is Shanice. And then Eva wants to get all concerned about Leslie going and doing something and confronting Shanice. But if she's going to be so concerned about that, Eva should learn by now to stop opening her mouth where her mother is concerned, because Eva talks too damn much when it comes to her mom. And I kind of get it. They've always had each other. That's all Eva's ever really had, other than a stepdad at some point. So I, on one hand, get why Eva's always telling Leslie too much, but wish one day she would learn to stop doing that. So Leslie did go to the hospital to confront Shanice about dating Ted, as we've seen her do before. Shanice was happy at the start of today's episode at work with Ashley because of her date with Ted going so well the night before. Leslie tried to rain on Shanice's parade today when she confronted her, telling her to get her claws out of Ted, saying Ted doesn't belong to her. Shanice said that she heard her threat the first time and she didn't care then and she doesn't care now. So I'm glad they still have Shanice standing up to Leslie, because few characters seem to do that, but Shanice is one of them. Leslie did let it slip on purpose to tell Shanice when Shanice was saying that Leslie's fling with Ted was decades ago, and even though they have a daughter, it was just so long ago. Leslie made sure to say that they made love just months ago, to throw that in Shanice's face, but I don't think it really mattered. I think Shanice was unbothered by Leslie today. So far, Shanice is happy with this relationship with Ted, even though Ted definitely comes along with a lot of baggage, for sure. Ted is a man full of baggage, and Shanice could do better, as a lot of you always say in the comments. But this is where we are right now, and it's where we're gonna keep going with Shanice and Ted, I suppose. Jacob and Naomi were together at the beginning of the episode, with Jacob not letting Naomi get a word in when I feel like Naomi wanted to finally tell him about her actually testing positive for the cancer gene. She's been saying she tested negative. Jacob realized that Naomi was tossing and turning all night and not sleeping well, but unfortunately, like I said, he kept going on, not giving her time to speak. Then Isaiah joined them and was surprised to hear Jacob ranting about their father, because Jacob is saying he had to beg for a case that he broke open. This is when Naomi learned that Jacob is going undercover and did seem a little concerned about that. It is interesting they brought Isaiah into their scenes today. I have seen people speculate that Naomi should sleep with Isaiah and really maybe spice up a storyline for Naomi and Jacob. And on one hand, it would spice up Naomi and Jacob. It is much needed for them. But on the other hand, it's a little too similar to her mother right now. Dani's doing this triangle with Bill and Andre. Naomi doing a triangle with two brothers. I mean, it would be soapy, and I would maybe make Naomi more interesting, but I don't know if they'll quite go there. But I do think both Naomi and Jacob and Isaiah and Eva need something to make their couple stories better. And I also will say, the fact that Naomi can't tell her husband that she tested positive for a cancer gene really speaks to how bad their marriage is and the communication in their marriage. Because if you're keeping that from him, you feel like you can't say something. So I don't think that couples counseling is working for the both of them. Later in the episode, Naomi did finally admit to Ashley that she tested positive and got Ashley to also say she'll keep it a secret. I guess we'll move on to Ashley. Ashley and Grayson did have some scenes today. They had a riveting conversation about Grayson's cat, although I do like a cat man, so I'll give Grayson some points there. But, my problem in this is not Grayson. My problem in Ashley's storylines is Ashley. And then Derek came along to interrupt them today and basically ruin her date with her new man. Ashley at least called Derek out on that after the fact, saying it was clearly a sabotage, and also figuring out that Derek is the reason that her mother found out she was seeing a new man. Later in the episode, Ashley tried to get Shanice to convince Derek to call Cheryl for a date. I would love for the show to make Derek move on with Cheryl so we could finally get Derek and Ashley out of scenes, but I just don't see it happening. Unfortunately, they continuously put these two in storylines together, even though we as a audience hate it every single time. So I do think they were the weak point today, but that's no surprise. Jan was also on today talking about Ashley's love life with Mona. Mona tried to get Jan to see that Ashley's new relationship is none of Derek's business. I just don't care about all that. Some of y'all in the comments were speculating yesterday or the day before that Kyle could be the impaler. And I've seen some people speculating that Carlton could be the impaler because, all these people work at the hospital. But Grayson is the obvious one that would have something to do with this blood. He works at the blood part of the hospital, and that's what's on the black market. So maybe it's Grayson, or maybe Grayson is involved with the black market scheme. It would maybe make Grayson and Ashley's coupling more intriguing if Grayson is a bad guy, but then they also write Derek as kind of a bad guy, so I don't know if they'll actually go there. But we have options with our Jacob going undercover story and who is this big bad impaler. It would make Carlton more interesting, I guess. I don't think it's going to be Kyle. I think Kyle will be a fake out. I don't think that's not a normal Greg Vaughn type character to be a villain necessarily. So I would say it would be Carlton or Grayson if they're going to go with a character that's already on screen and make one of them more interesting. The other thing on today was Anita's chemotherapy. Usually Vernon takes her to chemotherapy, but today Sharon was his stand-in to take her to chemotherapy. They did have a talk about a worst-case scenario if the cancer really does take Anita's life and what Sharon and the family will do for Anita's family, for Vernon and Anita's memory. I guess that is what one talks about when they could be on the brink of death. And then at the end of the episode, our cliffhanger for the episode is, and for the week, is Anita fainting after she gets back from chemotherapy. But I still think Anita will be okay with all of this. I think in the end, Anita will beat cancer. I just don't see them killing Anita off. But it was another strong episode overall in what was definitely the show's best week since September. There is definitely new energy this week. Storylines are moving. They have made new storylines like the Jacob Undercover storyline. And we are finally moving in an exciting direction. I think February Sweeps has potential to be really good. I think someone had to have seen how boring November Sweeps was and lit the fire under the writers' asses to actually give us an exciting February Sweeps. Don't know if I found the preview too exciting for next week, but I'll try and talk about that on Sunday, barring the winter storm, doesn't make me not able to do that. But if I am able to do that, I will be back on Sunday to talk about next week's preview. But yeah, this week, finally, a really good week of Beyond the Gates, in my opinion.